All right, we are live. This is an odd situation here. No introductions and all. My man on the other side is the Ramrican himself.
What's up? What's up? What's
Um,
going on? We live, live and
that's
direct with
right.
the Big Geezer.
That's right. And the crazy thing about it is that I'm in my box truck. I'm actually leaving Atlanta. I just got finished doing a run from Myrtle Beach to Atlanta. This is one where it's a classic case of you fucking around and they called your bluff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, here's what happened. Early this morning, well, about 8 o'clock or so, I saw a low from a broker whom I do a lot. I've done a lot of stuff for,
Okay.
and I I'm like, okay, I saw it. I'm even gonna give the numbers. They
Yeah.
posted it for $600. I'm
Okay.
like, oh hell no. All right, let's fuck around. Nine
Yeah.
fifty,
How many
nine
miles?
fifty,
How many miles?
360, 360,
Okay. Okay.
360 loaded. So they said, well, could you meet us at 800? I'm like, eventually what I was saying is that uh no, my best is 900, and if you can't meet that number, I understand.
Yeah, of course.
Couple of minutes later, book it. Let's
Book
book
it.
it.
Damn. They
Yeah,
called
so
your bluff on that one.
yeah, they call my bluff big time, man. Shit.
Yeah.
So I'm on the hook now. I gotta pick up this shit from Myrtle Beach,
Yeah,
and
yeah. That's the game, man. That's the game, man.
yeah,
You know, you put it out there and you want the load, but then in reality, you're like, shit, I really don't want to do that right now.
I was fucking around, man. I was really fucking around with them. Now I did that before with somebody else,
Yeah.
and oh man, yeah. I mean, I got him to where he was like, "All right, man, I'll do it for 1,200. I'll do it for
Yeah.
fucking 1,200." Okay, and
Yeah.
I had no intentions
Yeah, man.
whatsoever.
Yeah, man.
So
It be like that, but the money calls, man. That's the hustler spirit.
yeah, and so we did it. I'd actually literally arrived at the freight forwarder about an hour ago,
Okay,
and then
nice.
and then by 8:30 I'm done. But now I got
Yeah,
like 20, 25 minutes to gas up and find me a hotel where I can probably try to set up my computer.
yeah, yeah.
Well, I go one place. I tell the guy, hey, look, I got a live stream I'm about to do in 10 minutes. It's a YouTube live stream.
Yeah.
He's like, our lobby's closed. Sorry.
Oh wow.
And then
It's
I'm
probably
looking
dead.
for
You're
you.
probably dead out there too. There's probably really nothing around you.
Right. Yeah. Well, whatever. I mean, what the fuck? I mean, so I don't even know where the hell. I think I know where the hell I'm going now. I think I know where I'm going. What I'm trying to do is get back to Colombia. So I'm literally thinking, and all this on the fly. So I don't even know who's on the chat room. So if you see anybody in the chat room, you jump in and help me out there.
All
But
right,
y'all,
definitely, man.
Ramrican, I noticed this content for a while now, and the first thing that caught my attention with him was him telling everyone, or at least you sharing with your audience, how you earned $24,000 last year, if I'm not mistaken, on Delivered app. That's the catering
Yep,
app.
correct.
And now that number caught my attention because a few years back I earned like $24,000 on the DoorDash app, but that was back during the golden era.
Yeah, the golden
Um,
era. Yeah, exactly.
so basically, what I've seen of you is that you pretty much you just about accept all the orders. Some
Yeah,
orders that I would not accept, and I'll give you an example. There was one where you said you made a buck 50. It was a $1,900 order. I would have passed on it,
yeah,
simply because my philosophy is it's got to be at least 10% of the
um,
order amount.
yeah. No, definitely. I get you. Yep.
But everybody's got their own style. It sounds like to me, hey, it was fuck it. It was money. You were doing something else, so it just added to the total.
Yeah,
But explain
exactly.
your, but explain now for most folks they may not understand. You got to do a lot of orders to make 24,000. A lot of orders.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of orders. A lot of big orders I've been doing.
Uh-huh.
I guess my game to it is like, you don't have to accept every order when it comes to delivered, right? I'm a pro when it comes to delivered. So you don't have to take
Mhm.
every order that they give you. You
Right.
can deny every order without getting penalized. and they'll just move on, and they'll send the next order to the next person. So what
Right.
I've gotten the rhythm of doing is denying orders that I feel that it's not worth it for me and my time to go out and do the delivery.
Right.
That's one aspect that I utilize to get bigger orders. The second one is you have to do the steps that Delivered ask of you. With the bigger van, I upgraded from a car to a cargo van, so that allows you to
Right.
get bigger orders. And then they ask of you
Right.
to get about like 10 to 15 of their catering bags. Keep uploading
Yeah.
them, even if you buy one at a time, and they'll keep adding it to your profile. And from there, once you pass that threshold of the 10 bags, then you'll be able to get
Right.
those bigger orders.
Well, I don't know if you checked out my content, but I've done countless of $100 orders, few dozen $200 orders, and a handful of $300 orders, at least what I was paid. And I can share with my experience from this is back in 2022. I started out with the F-150, and we're almost like 3 years ago. And I did a lot of the orders. I took a lot of the orders, even though they're probably not worth a damn.
Yeah.
But I did them. Okay, and it looks like I'm going in the right direction. Right. And then about 3-4 months later, I get a phone call. I get a phone call from the delivered guys.
Okay.
And he's like, "Yeah, we like to consider you. We like for you to consider doing some of the large orders."
Yeah.
And so he asked me, "What type of vehicle did you have?" I had an F-150. So he asked me to take a picture of my send him a picture of my F-150. He said, "You got some bags?" We're like, "Oh yeah, I've got bags." Back then I had like 7 or 8 bags. So I sent him a picture of the bags. He's like, "Okay." Next thing I know, next day I got a couple of orders that I was paying over $100.
Yep.
And then when I got the van, I went to them about the van. But there was one order in particular where they specifically mandated that it had to be a Sprinter van. And they knew I had a van, but for the customer,
Sprinter.
I sent them a picture of the van.
Yeah.
This was a $3,000 order, $3,000 plus order going to a bank building in Charlotte, paying over $300.
Wow.
So I understand. I know. I've been there. I've been there, done it. Been there, done it.
Yeah.
Now that leads me to what's his name? Boris. Boris
Who's
is
that?
your van name.
Yeah. Boris. Yeah.
Boris is the van.
Yep.
See, man, I do my homework. I didn't do a lot of homework, but I did do a little bit of homework now.
Yeah, Boris. That's my guy, Boris, man. That's my ride or die right there. I named him Boris because that's the name of the person that I bought the van off of, and he looked like the van.
Okay. Okay.
Boris. Yeah.
Well, it's funny. Now, y'all, if you go to his page, it's On the Road with Ramrican.
Yep.
You can type it in the if you don't mind, you can type it in the chat. I can't see anything, y'all. I'm doing this from my phone. I'm driving 60 miles an hour, leaving Atlanta. So I'm kind of limited what I can do.
Yeah, no,
that just goes to show you how. Okay, but anyway, here's the deal. You got it's a Ford E350 cargo van.
Correct.
It's your classic cargo van, 2001. Yep. And that's a model van that I once sold way back in the day, man.
Really?
When I worked at a car lot,
man.
Yes.
That's a workhorse right there.
And if I'm not mistaken, you got a 5.4 liter Triton engine. That's one of the best engines that Ford made.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So anyway,
that's a great van.
Now, would you say that van is a little bit kind of reflective of your personality?
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
I would say that because it's not the prettiest thing out there. It shows the experience. It shows the experience. It shows the grimy and grit coming from New York. It's starting off as, hey, I'm not the team member with the best brand new truck, but we're starting off from scratch. And we're going to go up, and that's going to show the growth in the company. You know what I mean?
Okay. I kind of figured that. Now he also has a video where he actually says that this van was bought by Instacart money, but let's just say for generality's sake, gig app money, gig food
Yeah,
delivery app money
definitely.
is what paid for that van. Would that be accurate?
Correct.
Okay. Now, some people out here, of course, now a lot of that money was made in part probably from the golden era. But fact of the matter is, it was done. What do you tell people now?
Um,
What do you tell people
that is
now?
that is possible, man. You know, like like everybody has their starting point. You know, everybody can't start off with the top of the line Mercedes Sprinter vans or cargo vans. You have to start
Right.
off where you're at. You have to recognize your starting point and go with what you have. You know what I mean? I see a lot of guys that taking out auto loans just to get a brand new car or van just to get into the business, and that you don't need that. You work with what you have. If you're on a bike, start with a bike and then grow
Right.
gradually. Start renting a car, save your money, and start buy a little hoopty so that way you can start getting bigger orders.
hmm
And then
Okay.
you
Now,
graduate you graduate to what you want to do. Like I said, for me, I wanted to go with the cargo van route, because I had first started wanting to do things like what you doing, the over the
mhm,
road, hence the name was on the road with Ramrican. So I started with that mentality of wanting to take shipments and do load boards and do courier work.
mhm.
But like I said, junk removal became a big part of Ramrican, and we took it in that direction.
Right. And the thing is that you're going to evolve in something. Whatever it
Yeah,
is, you're going to evolve in it.
correct. Yeah,
And this is a good opportunity to talk about how you evolve in things. I'm going to share that I started doing rideshare
yeah.
2016 September 2016,
Okay,
and I evolved from doing rideshare to Amazon Flex,
okay.
and then I
Okay,
also got on with Roadie. All this happened right after I had hip replacement surgery in 2018.
okay.
Um,
Yeah, that's that's
and
something that's
then
something heavy to get into right after a hip replacement, having to walk up and
yeah, it's
down.
good.
You know what I mean? In and
It
out.
was good. It was good rehab. Good rehab.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
definitely.
but then 2019, I found out about DoorDash and a couple other gig food delivery apps. And then
A couple other things.
2020, 2022, um, that's when I met a young guy who had a Dodge ProMaster City, the small van. But then I looked into the Sprinter van, the
Yeah,
Ford Transit 250 that I got. And
yeah,
then I added the last mile gig delivery. Last mile gig delivery. I also got my MC and USDOT, and
yeah.
I added the brokered load opportunity. So I all that is to say, I've evolved to where I've added cash game, box truck.
Yep.
I've got multiple options.
Got a nice arsenal. Yeah.
Right. So I'm not limited to one thing. Like Monday, I called it hitting a grand slam in my and what I uploaded today because I had a gig food delivery order opportunity, catering opportunity that was out of the van.
Uh huh.
Last mile gig delivery opportunity that was out of the van.
Yep.
Um, I had a low board based opportunity that was out of the box truck, and then I had a cash game opportunity out of the box truck.
Yep.
Now, I've not talked much numbers this year, but that was at least a pound,
Okay.
but I earned that day.
Nice.
Now, evolving. Talk to folk about how you evolve in the business because the reason why I asked Ramrican to come on because I saw the hustle, I saw the grit, that what he's describing, um, and it's good to hear other folk talk about how you evolve in a business. It's not like you're gonna start one thing and probably end doing that. You're looking
Yeah.
always to add on to it, especially when you starting from a gig app standpoint, because you know
Exactly.
that gig apps are not everything. They're not.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're one
Exactly.
you're one opportunity away from being deactivated. Number one.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. And then what are you gonna do? You know, if everything that you've been doing has been relying on gig apps, what are you gonna do? So I
Hmm.
like to I have a lot of conversations when I run into people outside doing work throughout the city and stuff, and
Right.
I ask them because they ask me, how do you make money on a certain amount of money in a day? Like is it real? Can you really make that amount of money? And so I break down this theory, right?
Hmm.
If you're on an app, let's say you're on Uber, DoorDash, it's not that hard for you to make $50 at least, right?
Okay.
So do that with at least four apps, and there's your $200 for your day. Because once
Hmm.
you're on an app, if let's say I'm on Instacart or Uber, and the jobs are going to slow down, right? I'm going to be on a job. I got this job right now. It's taking me the next 45 minutes to complete, and then when I get done with that, and I jump back onto in whatever area that the job took me to, and I look at that market, and I'm in there, it might not be as populated and busy as where I was just at, right? So now it's going to kick me off with Uber because the demand is low, right? Or for example, for Instacart, there may not be a lot of supermarkets within that area, so I have to drive back to a busier area to go and try to
Right.
find another job. So that's all time
Hmm.
consuming. So if I can do $50 on each app, right? I could get at least 2 jobs per app while I'm out there, have them all on, and do the dirty stacking and multiple apps and do your jobs. Get a
Man,
fifty dollars here,
you ain't
fifty
dirty.
dollars here.
You ain't dirty stacking. You're just what I call work what I say maximizing your earnings opportunities
Yeah,
by stacking orders across multiple apps or platforms.
yeah,
That is my way
exactly.
of it.
Yeah, that's so that's
Fuck
basically
that
that's
dirty app.
basically
Go ahead.
yeah, no, that's basically the formula. That's what you have to do. You can't rely on one app. Like you said, you're one penalty away from getting deactivated. So what are you gonna do then if every day you got up and all you did was Uber? You know?
That's not fun. That's not fun, man. I still got the emails from when I went back and forth with Lyft back in 2017, where I had a bad run of riders who were making these wild ass allegations, and I was like
Yeah,
I was literally one ride away from being deactivated. Was fighting for my fucking life to stay on that app because
yeah,
of
that's
customers
bullshit.
making some wild allegations.
Yeah, and it happened like
Wild
that. Somebody could
allegations.
just lie on you because let's say you had a bad experience, an argument, or they just personally didn't like you. So who's to tell? You
Yeah.
know, and
Hmm.
they're gonna take the
All right.
customer side, of course.
You should help me out there. Are there any chat people in there?
Going on
Any
inside of the
comments?
chat comments. Okay. All right, my bad. I wasn't even paying attention to this. Yo, apologize for everybody in the chat. Let's give us a couple of shout outs right here. So we got Rideshare Road Warrior Rick. Said, hi, y'all.
Hey, Rick.
What's going on, Rick? Shout out to you. Um, we got Mr. Cortez, Alex
Okay.
64. Said,
Uh
yo,
huh.
yo, yo.
Yeah.
Shout out to
Okay.
Mr. Cortez there. We got the Dragonfly.
Okay.
Appreciate they wrote that's a nice fish tank. Yeah, appreciate it, man. YouTube would definitely give you that aesthetic, man. So um I definitely
Yeah.
I definitely encourage everybody to, step it up a notch. If you're gonna be live, you can't be dull. So the next person we got here is Shane Epley. They wrote press
Okay.
one if you are here. So we got a couple of people pressing one. We got Dragonfly, Road Warrior Rick, and Shane Epley.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. All
Appreciate
right.
everybody
Thanks,
for
man.
being in here.
Thanks. Hey, I'm gonna explain myself again, y'all. I am literally in the box truck. I had a run from Myrtle Beach to Atlanta, and literally I'm being bang, bang, bang
Hustling.
after dropping off the run. I tried to find me a hotel where I could set up. I couldn't, and so I'm doing this on the run out of the box truck on I-20 heading back to Columbia, South Carolina. So
You literally on
I
the
mean,
road with Ramrican.
literally,
Yeah.
and also showing how dedicated I am to doing this stuff.
Yeah, nah, definitely. We appreciate it, man. Definitely. That's
So,
maximizing your earnings,
Ramrican,
man.
yeah, well, yeah, I was, I again, I was not expecting to do this one. I really wasn't. I actually had every intention to just hang around the house today. I really did. And then, but anyway, so you mentioned about the junk removal. Now, Ramrican has been doing junk removal for a while now. I didn't try to quantify exactly how long he's been doing it, but he's been showing a lot of projects that he's done with his van. Um, and he says he kind of likes it because it allows him to be physical, maybe bend a little energy, but the main thing, he's making money at the end of the day, at the end of the week, at the end of the month.
Yep,
So,
that's the goal.
is that accurate?
That's accurate. That's the goal. So, I guess I just want to touch on that a little bit when you're speaking about evolving and evolution, right? So,
Yeah.
I could say back in like 2015, probably, or even before that, I used to drive
Mhm.
cabs out here in New York. Like I was
Okay.
already, what they call like the OJ of the cabs, right? So it's not like an official TLC license plate cab driver out here. It's a regular car. We're hooked up to a cab base, and we still get the phone calls to be a Uber or a cab for somebody, right? So
Right.
I was already doing that from back in the days. I had my own car. I had a Lincoln Town car, and from
Okay.
that, I used to utilize the a couple of different cab bases. You would pay a certain fee every week or per month, however the cab base had it set up, so that way you can get calls from them.
Mhm.
Whether you go into a line of other cab drivers and you get the next call that comes in into your position of what you're
Okay.
in the line, or you just go out there and start
All
driving.
right.
So me, I can't stay
Was
still.
that was that com- was that computer dispatch, or was it actual radio dispatch?
Yeah, it was radio dispatch. It was an actual live radio dispatch,
Man,
right?
man, that brings back some memories. Believe it or not, when I was a
Yeah.
poor college student at Texas Southern, I hustled for
Okay.
about 6 months as a cab driver. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
tell you, I did my best driving when I was on code 5, which meant that you're supposed to go back to the yard to clear your number. That's when I would steal every ride that I could.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah, man. That's the hustle, man. You gotta hustle it, man. So,
I
you
used
know.
to, I learned from this dude. His cab number was 158. He was like the most notorious scooper, as what they called him.
Uh
And I caught his ass. I caught his ass taking a ride from me. But he made the
huh.
mistake of telling me one bit of strategy. And what it was is that you're listening out for numbers, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And if it's a number that's not familiar in your area, that's the person going to take longer than most other people to get to
Yeah.
that address,
Oh
and
yeah.
that's the one that you scoop.
Yeah.
And
That and that
that's what I
and
learned.
that's the game, man. It's so fast. You have the person, and then like I worked for a cab base that was Spanish speaking primarily, and I
Okay,
understand very little Spanish, right? So, but if you're
okay,
talking fast like that, she's doing auction speaking. So I can't even understand what the hell she's saying, right? So it took me a little
uh,
while to get, like, I had to go to the cab base in person and talk to the dispatcher, so that way I could just picture their face as they're talking over the radio. So that way it helped me,
okay,
with that language barrier, understand what the fuck she was saying when she was fucking calling out the jobs.
okay. Oh
So
man,
yeah, that shit was
yeah.
a, it was a, it was it was a game, man. It was a whole hustle.
So one of the other tricks that I used to do was I jump cab stands too. I would never. Oftentimes, I would not go to the cab stand
Yeah,
because, like what you're saying, is the first one in line at the cab stand would get that call,
get
right?
that call. Yeah,
Oh hell no, man! No, 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 man! You're talking about Westheimer 11, Westheimer 11. Yeah, yellow 77.
yep, that's
Oh, who's
it.
first at the stand?
Yeah,
Who's first at the stand? Westheimer 11, Westheimer 11.
arguing, having arguments with the other drivers. They hating on you. Yo, yeah, I used to do that shit, man. Like I wouldn't even be near, the call, and I just already said, yo, me. I think I was 155. I think was my number, 155 on the way, 5 minutes, and I'll be like 20
um,
minutes away.
yeah, that's how it ended up on code 5. All right, that's
Yeah,
exactly how it ended up on code 5 because I called myself jumping the cab stand. So
hell yeah,
Dude, man, that's 1988. That's
Yeah, that's
1987,
old school
early
shit. That's back in the
1988.
day. Yeah, bro. Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
It was
that's how.
crazy, and especially I'm working in New York City, downtown, the Bronx, different one, Brooklyn, Queens. So I'm
Yeah,
getting a whole bunch of different characters that I'm picking up.
yeah. I actually had a guy ask me one night. It was a Friday night. He says, "Hey, you know any crack houses?" I'm like, "No." Oh, don't worry about it.
That's you.
I'll tell you. Hey, I'll tell you where we could go. And so he had me to go in. I'm from Houston, so he had us to go inside the loop in third ward.
Oh yeah,
And he's like, "Okay, wait for me, man." I'm like, "Hey, look, I'll wait for you, but I'll put it like this: if anything happens, you're on your own, buddy."
yeah. I'm out of here. Once I hear a yelling or a gunshot, I'm out.
Yeah. So I waited for him. He comes back out, and he got his crack right. And he
Yeah,
started fucking with this shit in the back,
yeah.
right?
You went to the trap
And
house.
yeah, yeah. So he's like, "Well, you do crack." I'm like, "No, good, don't do it."
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
here's $20 for your trouble.
Fuck, word. Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's how the experience the stories will come. Like I have crazy stories of the cab world, man. And
yeah.
that's how that was like a little catchphrase to how I used to market my rides, right? So I used to pitch my service as a private driver. You could hire me
Right.
for an hour, 2 hours, 4 hours, whatever, and I put together different price packages so that way you could come in the car. This was before like marijuana was legalized here in New York. So a lot of people
Okay.
used to take the car. I don't care what you do in the back. You can smoke, you can have your drinks, whatever. I'll drive you around as your private chauffeur, and you pay
Right.
me, and I'll do different stops and take people all around. And I started meeting a bunch of different people doing rides like that. And
Okay.
people started
Well, you
just
know what? What I
passing my number
remember,
around.
the first wave of rideshare drivers were former cab drivers. What I
Yeah,
remember, I met a lot of former cab drivers back in 2016, and
yeah,
then all other folk like the regular population started to there wasn't as many cab drivers who were
it
coming
wasn't.
on
Yeah,
over to
yeah,
rideshare.
yeah. Now they're everywhere
But I
since
think
Uber and Lyft came out.
yeah, and what the guys were telling me was that the money was actually in the beginning better on rideshare than it was during the cabs. So that's another reason
Yeah,
why they did it. And
yeah. They fucked
it
over. Yeah,
seemed right. And the fact that you can get your money, I think back then once a week, and you didn't have to pay for the use of a cab,
yeah,
like you're talking about a
exactly.
town car. You
Yeah,
know,
that eliminated
you're
that.
using right, because back then it was $70 a day. Of course, what helped me out was that you used to be able to carry a debit, you used to be able to carry a negative balance and clear it out. But I
Yeah,
understand after I got away from it, you couldn't carry any more negative balances. You had to clear out that day. So if you didn't make your cab money, you wouldn't be able, you
yeah,
wouldn't. You better come back with $70.
yeah,
Or
yeah. Or you ain't working.
right.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
back to the junk removal. Um, yeah, you're talking about involvement with the junk removal. That's that's not an easy thing to get into.
No, it's not.
Um, and depending on how you go about doing things, yeah, you could do some personal opportunities. But if you want to get in with certain real clients, you got to have your shit together. You got to have your papers.
Yeah, definitely.
Is it like that up your way?
Yeah, definitely. You got to have your paperwork right.
Mhm.
There's a license that you got to get to do junk
Okay.
removal, and there's also
Mhm.
um, your standard insurance package that you got to have. So that way, you have your COI, so you could get certain contracts, right? With different
Right. Right.
commercial properties. Um,
Right.
just before I get into that, I noticed here we got a comment here from Dragonfly. He said,
Okay.
Dragonfly asks for you, how much is your
Okay.
insurance for the box truck?
Um, for my box truck, it is $815 a month. Um, I have the $1 million Liability combined single limit liability with 100,000 cargo, and then 1 million, 2 million commercial general liability policy. So it's
Yeah.
all in one.
Yeah. So
So it's eight
definitely,
thousand a year.
yeah. So definitely
One
look
other
into
thing.
your insurance.
One other thing about with the insurance, because with who it is, I make 10 payments a year out of the year. So that's
Okay.
why it's if it was 12 months, it'd be more like 600 and something, which
600 or so.
which sound more reasonable. But I had to
Yeah.
make 10 payments, so that's why it's 817. So I get two free
Okay.
months in the back end.
Okay. All right. Well, at least get it paid over. You know what I mean? Get it out the way and move on to the next shit.
Yeah, right, right.
Yeah.
Any
Nah,
other questions there?
nah, that was the only question from Dragonfly. We appreciate the question.
Okay.
So
Yeah. See,
let me just
yeah. Go
I
ahead.
guess touch on a little bit of the junk removal world. So within the gig apps, right? So my junk removal experience and business was birthed from gig apps. TaskRabbit is a gig app, right? So I
Right.
utilize TaskRabbit. I have on TaskRabbit, you could download it. What it is it's an app that you could sign up for and offer your services, whether you do digital design work, yard work, car detailing, transporting work, moves, jungle, electrical work, home renovations, just a wide range of different services that are offered for home services that TaskRabbit offers. You can sign up as a tasker and sign up for the categories that you want to do the services for and that you provide. And then you go in the market, you set your own price range. Whether you want to be $150, $200, that's on you. They'll tell you that the price range is too high and you might not get hired. But that's the risk, you want to take. Whatever you want to put your money for, you put it on there.
Are
So
you concerned? Are you concerned? Excuse me. Are you concerned about that race to the bottom with those bidding type scenarios?
say it one more time.
Are you concerned about a race to the bottom where basically, if you say you're going to do your service, you offer your service at 250, inherently they're going to they want the cheapest person. Are
Of
you
course,
concerned
yeah.
about a race to the bottom?
Yeah, I'm concerned with that because TaskRabbit doesn't market our services correctly. I appreciate and I respect TaskRabbit for what they are as a platform, but I don't think that they're actually looking at the market rate for certain services within the industry. For example, right now they have like for let's say junk removal, they want you to get paid $35 to $40 an hour. So when I talk to the clients that hit me up, they're expecting me to get paid $35 to $40 to come and pick up or do a whole garage clean out, and so I have to tell them, listen, for me, I don't charge by the hour. So what I do is I
Yeah,
have my own package rates, right? I do a walkthrough, we'll go through a
yeah,
whole estimate, I'll formulate a package, whatever package they pick, that's what we'll go with. And whatever rate that I have on TaskRabbit, if it's $50 for the hour, that's what I deduct from my total cost of the job that I did for the client. you know. So because in junk removal, you don't really work per hour; you work per load.
no,
Um,
yeah, that's right. It's how much space it occupies your vehicle.
yeah, yeah. So I think that they have a good idea to help people get money, but I think that they need to restructure it because I come across so many people, and I've had complaints from people that oh no, you're trying to charge me too much money, or that's not what TaskRabbit said. Or whatever the case may be, and it's like, yeah, but I'm telling you, I need a 2 hour minimum, a 4 hour minimum, or whatever for a whole landscaping job or a whole garage clean out. It's not going to be
Right,
$34. That's not what it's
right.
going to be. So they have a misconception to the clients, and it's devalue. It's taking the value away from the junk removal industry.
Right. Well, yeah, they need to just get out of it altogether then, because I mean, it could be an apartment clean out, for example,
Yeah.
and a person that leaves an apartment, it could be some ratty shit off in there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That
Oh
ain't
yeah.
no, that ain't no 1 hour work.
Yeah.
That's
That's not.
three,
Yeah.
4 hours
Exactly.
of work.
Yeah. Exactly.
And if They leave furniture in there. You gotta get all that shit out the refrigerator, out the cabinets, out the bedrooms, and
Yep.
everything. No, man. I mean, so you expect me to do that for $140?
Yeah. Yeah. There's no way. So so there is that race to the bottom with that because you have the people out there that they get hired from somebody on TaskRabbit and they'll take the $35 to come and remove a two-piece or three-piece sectional couch, and you have to put a value on the price of the services you provide, because if not, then everybody's going to expect to get these jobs done for very minimal cost.
Right.
We have to pay for dumping fees. You got to pay for gas. You got to pay for tolls. I
Yeah.
have to pay for my workers whenever they're on site. I'm
Right.
paying my guys. You know what I mean? So I already have a set rate that's my bare minimum for what it costs to take for me to get on site to do a walkthrough or to even get an estimate going.
Right. No, I'm still here. I just happened to notice a police car.
Oh yeah,
So,
okay, yeah, do your thing. Yeah. Don't get no
no,
tickets.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm not speeding. It's just that I
Nice.
don't know. Yeah, yeah. I don't
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
attract any
Yeah,
attention.
I don't understand that law about like why you can't have the light on inside the cabin. I don't really understand
Right.
it.
Right. Yeah.
But so
So yeah. Go
so
ahead.
it birthed through task. I mean, through the gig world, right? Through gig economy. Because if I
Mhm.
wasn't on doing different gig apps, I wouldn't come across TaskRabbit, and I wouldn't have found my journey in the junk removal world, right? So I appreciate it. I still do get jobs off of TaskRabbit, but a lot of my marketing has been out of pocket and more direct with my website,
Right.
my Facebook page, and I'm getting these jobs more direct line right to me. I don't have to pay no middleman. There's nobody, haggling me, and reporting me to somebody else higher than me, saying that I'm, not. But if you look in the terms of service, right? Because
Uh,
I had a whole argument about it one time about some jobs. There's the terms of service that TaskRabbit is not the controller of. They are a middleman. They introduce the client to the company
yeah.
or person that's working the gig app, and that's it. They don't have no say so on how I operate my business, what my terms of service are, and how I conduct my services that I'm going to provide for the client. And so if I'm $100 or $150 an hour, and they want me at $50 an hour, it's not going to work. So
Right. Yeah.
it's a give and
Yeah.
take with that
Find
with
that
that app.
person. Yeah.
Yeah,
Find that
yeah.
person. You get what you pay
Find
for.
somebody else. Exactly.
Right.
So
Well.
it's a issue. So there comes a times in between working other gig apps and multi-apping. But that got me started with the junk removal business, because that's the most jobs that I've got off of TaskRabbit were all junk removal jobs.
Uh, right. I'm gonna go back to this what I talked about in the beginning with you. And we may come back to the jump removal thing. This is more
Yes.
about you personality wise. Um, now, I would say that I don't read people's personalities, but a couple of things that came to mind, a couple of notes that I took. All right, so to speak of gritty, I can understand that from being up north. I'm not from
Yeah.
up north, but I understand that's that northern personality. I'm talking like
Yeah.
a typical southerner, right?
Yeah.
But words like passionate, would that be something that would be a description of you?
Of course, I've been labeled passionate my whole life, whether it's
Okay,
something that I'm explaining to you or something that I'm driven by. I always put passion behind anything I do.
okay, because that's what I kind of sense. And then there's almost like a sense of urgency. Of course, I think that's more of a New York, New Jersey thing as well.
Yeah.
Y'all act like that. Y'all act like y'all fucking done. It's like you're on this deadline. You gotta get here. You gotta get here. You gotta get here. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's a rat race, man. It really is.
yeah, okay, okay. I
You
mean,
know,
look,
you
don't
don't
mistake
realize.
me.
Huh?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
You don't realize the rat race that you're in until
Uh-huh.
until I leave New York and I go out to somewhere like Florida or Texas, somewhere, and then you realize how slow the life
Right.
really is outside of New York.
Right. Yeah. I was going to say, don't mistake me for Ernest T. Bass or Barney Fife now, but I mean, I live in Los Angeles. I'm from Houston. I live in South Florida, which is the extended armpit of New York. But
Yeah,
so I've lived in large populations. But it's just that where you are, it's a different type of speed. And
yeah.
if you're not up to it, it's like, get the fuck out of my way, guy. and
Exactly. It's
so,
sick, man. It's sick because you see people fly past you, will give you a fucking an attitude to hurry up to get to the red light.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I don't know,
So,
man. I don't know.
yeah, well, I mean, again, so when I'm down in South, when I've been down in South Florida, because a lot of snowbirds come down there. You know,
Yeah,
we,
yeah, exactly.
yeah, yeah, you see that down that way.
Yeah,
Um,
they all flock south whenever it gets
right,
cold.
but I
Yeah.
think they're also coming to Charleston now. Charleston along the coast, Hilton
Sh-
Head,
yeah,
Georgia, North Carolina along the coast. They're coming
yeah,
there as
sure.
well,
Yeah,
and so I see that type of mentality invading this space over here as well.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I believe it. It's nice. It's beautiful out there. You have a lot of people that, we're tired of New York. We're New Yorkers, but a lot of
Um,
us are tired of New York. It's just that certain opportunities are we're not going to find anywhere else. And
yeah.
that's what keeps people in New York or coming back to New York. But
Um,
we hate it.
you hate it though, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, we
Now,
hate it though. Like life here is crazy, man. Because like look for example, right? You go to South Florida, life is comfortable. You have nice landscape, a very clean environment.
okay,
You don't see all the crazy shit that you would see in New York: crackheads, cops, holes, smoke, millions of people. Everywhere there's noise, bro. So it's like you're gonna develop anxiety living in New York, and that's
man.
something that a lot of people deal with out here. Your mind's
Um,
constantly running. You have 1,000 things that you have to do. Imagine trying to incorporate running a business or running gig gaps and services for people. It's too fast of a
yeah,
motion.
okay, okay. Yeah. That sounds like it's times 10 compared
Yeah,
to where I'm at. It's times 10,
oh
and
yeah,
so yeah. Unless you've got something in you to keep, that motivates you to make that adjustment. Yeah, I can see where it'd be overwhelming. Then
yeah.
I can see that. I can see that. So, from a business standpoint, from a business standpoint, I try to
We'll get to all
share.
the comments in a second. Hold on one second. No, I didn't want to cut you
No,
off. We have some comments. We're gonna get to them right after you finish your thought. Go ahead.
no. Let's do the comments. Let's do the comments.
All right, cool.
Let's
All
do the
right.
comments.
I don't usually do the comments, so I apologize. I keep forgetting that there's a chat here. All right, so where we at? We got so Dragonfly asked that about the insurance. We have Rig CH83
Yeah,
says,
yeah.
man, glad I caught you this week. Hello, everybody. Shane Epley wrote, hey, Rig, my fault. Mr. Cortez, Alex wrote, TaskRabbit is killing me with the $150 expense limit for junk removals. Yeah, they and that's another thing too. They put a cap on the expense that you can charge the client, right? So where I'm at, it's $150 per ton. So imagine I had a whole ton and I'm only able to expense the 150. So what am I supposed to make? Right. So
Wow.
Mr. Cortez also added, but they did say I could take cash outside of platform, their words. So yeah, I think that I read that somewhere as well within the description. You get paid through TaskRabbit for the hours that you work for the client, and then the client can pay for the disposal fees. So if you know how to set up your business and discuss this with your clients and communicate that with them, then of course, yeah, you can incorporate the cost and pitch to them, how much it's going to cost for you to do the services for the labor plus the disposal fees.
It
And
sounds it sounds like to me that they really try to cap you what you can make
yeah, they do.
if you
They,
go
they,
through.
they do. They do. I've had a couple issues with them where I had to show paperwork and receipts and proof of the conversations that me and a client one time of mine had, and we discussed the ongoing project. It was an ongoing project. It was a contractor. He had a like a duplex that he was gutting out, and I was removing all of the construction debris for him. And so it was an ongoing project. So one of my invoices that I uploaded was like $850, and then the other invoice for the next day was about $900. So combined total of like $1,700-1,800. And TaskRabbit held my money. I had to battle them, and I had to get writing and documentations from my client with his signature stating this is what we discussed, this was the services that I rendered, and this was the price that we agreed on, and I completed the services and he paid me. So
did you have to go as far as showing? Did you have to go as far as showing picture documentation of the actual work that you did?
Yeah, I actually emailed them and I told them that I'm kind of glad that I carry the GoPro with me all the time, and I always document all my jobs. And I emailed all the footage from the whole job, and it was a battle. It didn't get further than that, but from my standpoint, I was very upset because I had to wait about a month to get my payout from them, and took me about a month to get the payout from them. They were claiming to me in the emails that I never did the job. They said I never showed up. And
like you were fraudulent.
That I was doing a fraudulent because of the amount that I had invoiced. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and like the other person was probably in on the fraud too. They did some shit.
Bullshit. And you gotta remember, right? TaskRabbit is not paying you. So that's what bothers me, right? You're introducing me to somebody, and whether they accept my price, that's how we're gonna agree, right? So why are you sitting there trying to hold my money when you're not paying me? That's my money I deserved, right? And I earned and I worked for. So that's my discrepancy with TaskRabbit is they do that. So why are you holding my money? You're not paying me. You're not an employer, and I'm not your employee. So why am I waiting all this time? Sometimes it takes about 5 to 6 days just for you to get paid based on the client if they paid out or not. They're only receiving a fee if you do a job. So why am I waiting for my payout? So there's the bullshit that you got to deal with within the apps. But you make it work. So we got another comment right here. We got from Mr. Cortez, Alex writes asks the customer pays for the disposal fee. No, I mean
no.
When I pitch
technically no.
Technically no. They're paying for your labor. They're not paying. There's nothing in there for disposal fees. You can add it in there, but how are they supposed to know what the disposal fee was if you didn't dispose of the contents until after the job was completed? Right.
That's typically Ramrican's cost or my cost.
Yeah, exactly. So, and Mr. Cortez, Alex writes, I get a lot of customers who canceled their credit card after big jobs. 3 times I've got my money every time. Yeah, I've had the same thing happen to me. I did an $800 job, and I turned in the invoice, and the customer, they pulled their credit card. And that took another 30 days. The TaskRabbit does their investigation, and they paid me themselves. Like if they cannot get the money from the customer themselves, then what they'll do is they have to pay out from the company to you. Because that was the invoiced job that I completed. And after their investigation, TaskRabbit paid out on 2 jobs that debted me. They took out the credit card. I did the job. They thought that they got away for it for free, and I still got paid. So
that's some scary shit, man. But that's also very frustrating because I mean, here you are. You're looking for $800. Let's say in five business days. So next week, right?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you don't see it. You got to make that plus another 800 to be back on pace.
Just to be back, yeah, exactly. Just to be back at level with yourself, because now you just have all these expenses that you just paid out of pocket from the last job.
And if you're paying someone else, you're paying out of your pocket. And if you're
Exactly.
short on cash,
Yeah.
if you're short on cash, now your ass is in the swing.
Listen, I've had my last $100 that I've had in my pocket. That was my money that I had, made from somewhere else, and I had to pay my worker with my last $100, and I had to sit back and wait for my pay. And
Yeah,
that's just
yeah,
that's the way of the game. I mean, it sucks,
right.
but sometimes that's how it is.
Yeah, yeah. And so that's what we're now that leads it. That goes back to what I was talking about with my video today about cash flow.
Yeah,
See, this is these are some of the things that when you're in business for yourself, what you got to deal with. You may have money put back, yeah, but that money may be tied up in something else. And
exactly.
then when something comes up, you got to make shit happen, or else.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And,
You have
and
you
so
have
now,
overheads, man.
right, and so this is how you may not draw up on the chalkboard the opportunities that you're looking to make, but you certainly have an eye on what you need to do sometimes to create the cash flow that you need to keep going until the other money comes in.
Exactly.
In fact, I'll
Exactly.
share
Yeah.
this. I'll share this today. Now, yesterday I happened to a brokered opportunity um, that paid money. I did have money come in, but then I had some other shit that unexpectedly came out of my business account. So that money that I initially planned coming in, that covered that it took that money. So
Yeah.
now here I am having fucked around with this opportunity. I knew that I was going to have to pay some gas, right?
Yeah.
And fortunately, I happened to have done this brokered opportunity and went back and changed the payout from having to receive the money tomorrow. I was able to get it today,
Yeah.
which financed me doing this run.
Yeah. Exactly. That's what you have to take into consideration when, like, for example, you're going over the road. You took a job for $500 going 350 miles. Do you have enough funds in your pocket to get 350 miles until you get paid that $500? Tolls, gas,
Depending on,
eating, lodging. You know what I mean? So
yeah, whatever it is.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
but,
that's
but
a big problem that people. You take a job. Yeah, everything sounds great. Let me take the job, but can you even afford to take that job? Will
right.
you make it
That's
happen? You know what I mean?
right. Right. Those are some of the things. Those are some of the things that you think about, and what maybe people don't think about, and then they find their asses in a sling.
Yeah, and
But
then they're fucked. Yeah,
it
yeah,
talks about you don't go to war without considering the costs,
exactly.
and so you should have some anticipation of what your costs are going to be if
Yeah,
you're going to do this. You may
definitely.
not know them all, but you should anticipate certain costs.
Yeah,
Can content creators like myself or Ramrican tell you exactly what to look out for? Not really. I get a lot of comments where people want to have an idea how much it may cost to operate my van.
yeah.
But me operating my van, my costs are probably going to be twice as
Different than yours.
what most people are claiming.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
Yep.
I don't. I mean, you probably you. I don't know what a running cost would be with talk removal, but suffice it to say, you know that there's going to be if you have an opportunity, you know that you're going to have gas money at a minimum.
Yeah,
You know that you're
definitely.
going to be paying your insurance each month
Each month,
at a
that's coming
minimum.
on the regular.
You know that there's going to be maintenance on your van at a
Yeah,
minimum.
yeah,
So it may not be daily costs, but you may be looking at over the course of the month what costs that you've got to cover.
exactly.
And so with that in mind, then you may look to certain projects or opportunities to help put you in a position to cover that to keep things going so that you can free up other money as that money come in.
Yeah,
That's what I'm thinking.
yeah. It's a game. You really have to think about it. A lot of people they don't know how to really manage finances, and think ahead and budget, so that's a question that people need to ask themselves. Are they really willing and able to go out there and go and do what it takes to make more money for yourself? Are you willing to, budget yourself that you don't spend any money throughout your week on a personal and on anything personal because you need to make sure that your van is taken care of? you know.
Right.
So
Right.
everybody doesn't have that skill, you know, and that's hard to manage for a lot of people. And so I've seen a lot of people that they fail as soon as they start.
Oh yeah, yeah, they crash and burn. Yeah, when I'm gonna we're almost done here, Ramrican, and I thank you for working with me this evening.
Yeah, no, definitely
I didn't anticipate having to go at it
be
this
on the
way,
road.
but hey, yeah, but
Yeah,
it's been a pretty good conversation here, pretty damn good conversation.
yeah, man,
Um,
definitely.
what what I've shared is I talked about this before though, but I try to position myself to where I could look at those first 6 months and have a means by cash or in my case leveraging cash or leveraging. It was a combination of both to get through the first 6 months, and
Hmm.
it worked out to where it took me about 6 7 months before I hit a point where what they call the break point where the income was exceeding the costs
Yeah,
to where I was truly operating at a profit.
yeah,
So in other words, I knew that I was going to get my ass kicked for the first 6 months.
yeah,
I was
of
going to be
course.
um, and a lot of businesses are gone in the first 6 months. They just don't last.
Yeah,
Or operations or whatever projects, whatever you want to call it.
yeah,
And even then, the first year. But I knew that if I could get to the summer, I might have a chance, and that's what
right,
that and,
right.
and it worked out that way
Yeah,
for me. How about for you
yeah,
when you started, when you really went into this? Particularly, well, with the band, you started at a profit anyway because you paid for it cash. You already had a profit. Whatever you do with the band, it's going to be a profit.
yeah,
But
yeah, exactly.
but when you committed to the next level, what you're doing, how long did you think it would take for you to be in a position where you would be getting profits every month instead?
Oh, I definitely thought that it would take me at least over a year to at least get, you know, 10 calls for the year, you know, direct. Um, I didn't anticipate anything coming fast. And it's not even coming fast right now. I haven't even began to break the threshold of the junk removal world, right? So,
Okay.
but I'm not where I was almost 3 years ago, you know.
Okay.
So I'm in my third year of junk removal business, and it took me a while to actually figure out what I wanted to do, you know, with
Okay.
my cargo van. Right, I was doing a cargo van. I know that I can't just go
Yeah.
out there and do Ubers with a cargo van. It doesn't work. I have a V8 engine. It's not gonna. It's not. That's not the vehicle for that. So I had to figure out what am I
Right.
going to do. So I've started
Yeah.
doing roadie. I've done Amazon Flex just like you have done, and
Uh-huh.
I capitalized on those, you know. And like you said, I own the van outright. I bought my van for $1,500, and I only have about $500 a month that I have to pay for insurance on the van, and that's the only overhead that I have, you know, on the van.
Okay.
That works for me because I didn't want to come into the game and say everything that I make I need to put onto a vehicle's payment, right? Why we're in this to
Right.
make money. So why am I taking out a brand new vehicle lease or finance a new older truck and then have that overhead that I have to make every single month when I haven't even gotten clientele yet, you know?
Right.
So that was my thought
Right.
pattern of getting the van because I know that it's not the realistic thing about it is that the jobs are not just going to call you and start coming because you got a van, you know?
No.
So
No. You got to go to them.
yeah, you got to go to them. You have to find these. The loads are not in, you know, the Gig Geezer's truck because he has a box truck. You know what I mean? It takes the footwork for you to call these brokers and reach out to people and say, "Hey, listen, I have this service that I provide. Do you need any extra services?" You know, and
Right.
and and that's a hustle in itself. You have to market yourself. How's your marketing game? Do you even believe in yourself to call a broker and say, "Hey, listen, check my MC. I have an awesome fucking MC number, and as soon as you check it, I'm gonna book all these loads." You know? Do you have
No,
that?
it don't work like that. No, it don't work like that.
Yeah.
You
So
hit on something, Ramrican, that I think we can end on here. I
yeah,
have when people have asked me about, well, how do I get into the cargo van business? I keep
yeah,
telling folks that It is not cargo van. This is just me talking right now. I don't call it cargo van business. I say what you do with your van is your business.
Exactly. That's what it
Because
is.
so figure out what you want to do with your van first. Then you can kind of plot what direction you want to go.
Sure. Start your
I will make
foundation. Find that
yeah.
foundation first.
Yeah, so like in my case, I had the gig apps. I was transitioning from the gig apps,
Yeah.
but I had my eye towards the brokered opportunities
Yep.
and also then the last mile gig app opportunities. And then eventually I started talking about cash gain.
Yeah.
Um,
You got a
but
vision.
that was my plan. Of course, in the beginning, folks tell me I was a damn fool. I should
Yeah.
I should give them their van. I should get rid of the van or whatever.
Yeah.
But
All the negativity
um,
trying to pull you back down.
yeah, I didn't listen to that shit though. But so if you would just if we can close out on this, tell them from your perspective about understanding having an idea what you want to do with the van first, having an idea what you think you could do before you really get the vehicle.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the number one priority is finding your niche first and formulating your business plan if that's the route you want to go. Find out what you want to do, look into it, see what it's about. How would you even start getting loads or jobs or clients? And then you weigh out your options first. I wouldn't jump into getting a van. I would first find out what I want to do with the van because you're gonna have to pay for your parking, your insurance, your overheads with the van and your maintenance. So what are you going to do with your van? That should be priority number one before jumping into cargo van, because it's not a cargo van business, just like the gig geezer said. It is what you do with your van that is your business. And I like that one right there.
All right, man. We're gonna end on that. Ramrican, if I can fist pound you right now, just, there we
Yes,
go.
man. We need a part two. We need a part two, man. So that way when you sitting down in the house, man, relaxing.
Yeah, at the Gig Geezer studio. Yeah, I got the studio and
Exactly.
all. That's what I was thinking. But yeah, we will do that. We will do that event again, perhaps in the summer months. Okay. So
Yeah,
y'all,
yes,
hey,
sir.
thanks for if you've been hanging out in the conversation. Thanks for hanging out. The reason why Ram Rican's been calling everybody out or shouting everybody out is because I can't see the chat room doing this on
Yep.
on my phone, driving 65 miles an hour on I-20 eastbound.
Yep.
So
Shout out to everybody in
if
the
you
chat. Yep.
yeah, all right. So we're gonna end with that. Van Rican, thanks again. We will do this again
Thank you.
soon.
Yeah, thank you,
All
man.
right, y'all.
Appreciate it, man.
So
Drive safe. Get home safe, man. Appreciate you for
thanks,
getting me
man.
on your show.
All right, man. So that's it for this week, y'all. I do have another guest set up. He's out of South. He's out of the west coast of Florida. This guy makes some money. That's all I can tell you about it. But Ram Rican, we're out of here, man, and we're out of
Yes,
here
sir.
with y'all. All right.
All right, man. Thank you. Later, man. Peace, y'all.